Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. And welcome to another edition of the Juice Box. I am Juice Springsteen. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen, on Instagram at Juicy Wrestling Closet. You can also subscribe to this podcast and download it on Apple Podcasts and on iTunes. If you can give it a 5-star rating, that would be fantastic. Even if you drop a review, that would also really help the show going forward. JuicySteen.podbean.com as well. You can find this show. And that's pretty much all I have to say before we get into another edition of the SIP series. The SIP series is a sit-down series that I've had going on now. This will be the second edition of the SIP series. The first, I had Josh Taylor from 93.7 The Fan and KDKA appearing in the Juice Box for the SIP series. And this is a series, I believe I stated it before on the last episode of it, where we discuss, the ins, the outs of being a fan, whoever this person may be, whether they're a fan of pro wrestling, they're in the pro wrestling business, they used to be a fan, but they're not now, or they have friends and family that might be into it, or whatever. As long as you've had wrestling in your life for any amount of time, I would like to talk to you. So that's what the SIP series really is all about. And boy, do we have a doozy today. This guy is a pro wrestler. He works everywhere and does everything for anybody and everybody. He's 458 in the PWI 500 in 2023. He's a former co-host of Chair Shot Reality. He's a paramedic, formerly on Monday Night Raw for an episode. And he's a prominent member of Shane Taylor Promotions. But above all that, he is the RWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Renegade Wrestling Alliance, a local Pennsylvania independent wrestling promotion. He's the world champion of that promotion, and this weekend he will be certainly defending that championship. He's none other than my close personal friend and wrestler and co-host. He's done it all. The Rev, Ron Hunt. We talk for well over an hour. We discuss in, out of the ring, as a fan, as a pro wrestler, getting involved, his work with the food bank, Shane Taylor, so many different things we discuss, and it's one hell of an episode if I say so myself. So really hope you guys enjoy this episode. He's a great guy, very interesting to talk to. Like I said in the preview here, and I set him up for the hype before he comes on. He does so many great things and has done so many things and will continue to do so. So I can't be more proud of him, and I was happy to get him in the Juice Box to put that on his resume as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. You can find the Rev at the Rev Ron Hunt on any social media: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You know it, you name it. It's the Rev Ron Hunt. So without further ado, here in the SIP series, episode 2, I sit down with the Rev Ron Hunt, RWA World Heavyweight Champion. Take a sip from the Juice Box and enjoy. Welcome into the SIP series here on the Juice Box. This is the second of the SIP series interviews that I will be conducting here on the Juice Box. Last time we had KDKA and 93.7 The Fan host Josh Taylor as he came into the Juice Box for a little SIP series, and we discussed, being a wrestling fan and being on air all the time and balancing that while, also discussing our earlier days, Trib Live and such. This week, the SIP series, this is a fun one. This is one I've been wanting to do for a little while. He's coming fresh off of regaining the RWA World Heavyweight Championship. RWA is the Renegade Wrestling Alliance based out of West Newton, PA. They just celebrated their 15th anniversary show. Pretty damn impressive. And, there's plenty of independent wrestling out there, but RWA, for 15 straight years, they have done a show in the same venue, other than maybe some outside spot shows. but for the same venue, for a lot of the same fans who have been so loyal for so long. And it's one hell of an indie, I gotta say. For a small 150 to 200 person, venue, they really pack it in every month, and it's a hell of a show. And I was in attendance for this past the 15th anniversary show, where my guest regained the RWA World Heavyweight Championship. My guest, who in 2022 was ranked 477th in the PWI 500, 458 in 2023. He moved up a couple of spots. This is a good friend, a guy who co-hosted Chair Shot Reality with me back in the day. He works for the Pittsburgh Food Bank. He's a pro wrestler. He's a paramedic on Monday Night Raw. He does it all. He's a magician. He is also the Rev. He is the Rev, Ron Hunt. Wow, Rev, it is so cool to connect with you, man. I'm so glad you're here. This is a long time coming, and I'm thrilled that you could be here, man. Welcome to the Juice Box and welcome to the Sip Series. How you been, man? Your body still hurting?
Man, I'm doing good, Juice. How about you? Listen, the body is always sore. First of all, I just want you guys to know I did not pay him for that introduction, but that was a very, very solid. You popped me on the paramedics on Raw. So I think I need to up my medical degree on that, man. But
that's right.
We're doing good this way, man. The body is still recovering, man. I was one heck of a 15th anniversary show at RWA. The body's still recovering, man. But I'm still riding the high of the crowd, man, the high of the support. Then it's just good to have that baby boy back in my presence, man, regaining that RWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, I was thrilled that you regained it. I've been to one other RWA show that you were a part of. I believe it was the steel cage match a couple of months ago. I'd gone to RWA back in college around 2013, 14, 15 time. And, I went to Cal U, so it was right there. It was pretty close, and I loved going to this local indie. And lo and behold, after that, I do Chair Shot, and I meet you. Yep. And we had some great times and such, and then Chair Shot kind of fizzles out. And then I find out that you were working in RWA, and I was like, there's no way that these worlds are colliding, man. How did you get into RWA? I know you've wrestled, you've been on Ring of Honor TV. Mm-hmm. You've done pretty much everything everywhere locally. I pulled up your cage match profile page, and you're champion 4 different spots right now. At least that's what I'm looking at.
You're spot on correct. I have. Listen, I'm trying to gain more, believe it or not. And I don't know if my body will allow me to do it, but my brain's always like, 4. Let me try to see if I can go for 8. 8. Let me see if I can get for like 12. So there's about 4 of them right now. Actually, I got all 4 in the house right now. We got the RWA World Heavyweight Championship. We have the Pit Fight Championship. That's with an event that we do this with Connor's Cure and raising money for pediatric cancer. That's another great one. I think that's through the University of Pitt Greensburg. Then the Prospect Pro Wrestling, the Eclipse or 814 that runs out in the Altoona, Johnstown area. Man, but it's been a truck. But going back to your question, RWA, I think man, believe it or not, I've been there for at least half of the 15 years. And it was one of those things where we were doing some things with the NWA territory in the Pittsburgh region at that time. And it was just looking to take things to the next level. And, what better way to do that? I heard so much about RWA, how just dogmatic and true to the fans. And granted, they did not love me like they love me now. They hated me. I used to brag about starting riots and no one's getting stabbed, like 1980s, 90s type heat. But and then somehow full circle, a few years later, we do some things. And then now they love me, which is the weirdest thing ever, but I wouldn't have it any other way. But it's crazy what you said, that whole world's colliding, from when we initially met with Chair Shot Reality. And then I honestly, I didn't even know that story about you used to going to RWA shows prior to that, which is crazy to hear about now, because I always wondered too, like, how did you figure out about RWA? Did I post something? Someone else post something? But that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I remember seeing, these are some names. I'm not sure if you'll even know them, but we had Ashton Amherst, Ryan Edmonds, Ryan Mitchell, The Circle, there was just some classic stuff. The Wild West, I remember, was a tag team. even before my time was the Feel Bad Five. I know that was
Bad Five, yeah.
That was a legendary faction in the RWA. But yeah, man, especially for you to say, because I didn't get to see you as a heel there, but you were like beloved by the RWA fans. They really pull for you. They love you. You posted some highlights of this past month's show, and you did. You had the crowd in the palm of your hand. They really wanted you to get that title back, and it was fans bring the weapons, and they brought damn near everything.
Literally, I was really looking for the craziest.
Exactly. What was the craziest weapon that you used, and then what was the weapon that you saw in those trash cans that you didn't get to use?
Oh man, I've never got that question before. And I've had probably about two fans bring the weapons matches, about 2 or 3. The craziest one that I would say. The main one that I use when someone put thumbtacks on a baseball bat.
Yeah.
I think, and I kind of use it more as a golf club. I kind of try to go for 4 between the guy's legs, and I think it paid off dividends a little bit. But I think one of the other craziest things, it wasn't for this one. Someone they had to put it to the side. Someone had a birthday cake with thumbtacks that was baked in the birthday cake.
That's incredible.
And I don't know how they did it. I hope no one ate it prior to test it out, but thumbtacks within the birthday cake. And it wasn't like, oh, let's just open it up and smash the icing together. Like, it looked like they put some TLC into this thing.
I gotta say, I never heard about that, bro. Yeah, I never would have thought about
that at all.
Wow. Thumbtack cake. Well, I know what I'm having.
Now, would you taste that?
I'd give it a shot. Tastes a little hardcore.
All right. Well, we'll invite you to the next birthday party of Minoru Suzuki then.
hey, I'm in. Maybe he'll chop me.
Oh, I don't know if you want that. Don't wish death on yourself, Juice.
Hey, if it's recorded and we can put it in the juice box as audio of me getting chopped to death, maybe it'll work. I'd put that in. Anything to push the brand. So you did use something that I've only seen in death matches, which were skewers.
Yes.
I was stunned, to be honest with you. I've seen them and it's been used, it's been done, but I never thought in RWA I'd see it. And damn it, was it a great spot, if I should say so myself. You put the skewers in Hayes' head, he gets up, and then you super kick them out of his head. And what a visual that was. And at the end of the night, there's skewers all over the ring. There's skewers that have blood on them. It was a very violent, grotesque scene there. And I can only imagine how your body felt the next morning, day, week after that, man. I mean,
oh my God.
How do you come out of that match and go, well, I got to live my regular life now until the next one?
You know what? I ask myself that literally every single weekend. And somehow we do it. And honestly, I tell you, man, it's just the love and the passion of what you do, man. I've been in the game overall for about 11 and a half years. And I try to tell them, like, dude, I'm only 30. But, like, the mileage and the toll that this type of stuff takes on your body, rather man, woman, boy, and girl, you have to be on a certain level of talent and craze to be able to do this and do this consistently. And first of all, the contest, and I didn't know this. I'm just looking at weapons, and I'm like, listen, when you're in that type of match, you're in that type of high level stakes, you're in a rematch like that if I blow this, I might not get another opportunity. This is my second chance with having a default rematch as a prior champion. And so my whole thing was, I got to take things to the next level. I got to be able to do some things that no one has probably ever seen here, or just take things to an edge that I know he's not going to be able to take it. And I didn't even know it until I watched it back on TV that the commentator said that was the very first time that barbecue skewers were used at RWA. So 15 years. The Hunt was the first one to use them. And I guarantee I know who gave them, because a fan did message me and said, are there limitations to what fans can bring? And I said one word: never. And he said, I want to make this very deathmatch-esque. And as soon as I saw them, I said, I guarantee this is him. I gotta use them. I was going through the trash can, and I looked and I said, these are not barbecue skewers. And I pulled it out, and lo and behold, I said, I'm sorry, they got to be used.
Wow. just an incredible night, and some people might not be into deathmatch wrestling, but like you said, it never happened there. So that, I'm sure, stunned, everybody in attendance. I was stunned, and I was not expecting it. And, we saw the cheese grater and such, but damn. Let's go a little bit earlier. You said, so you've been a pro wrestler, what, 11 years now? Is that what you said?
Yep. 11 and a half years so far.
Can you just go start from the beginning of, when you decided I want to be a pro wrestler? Not necessarily as a fan. I want to touch on that after this, but whenever you realized, you know what, I really want to actively try to become a pro wrestler, just walk me through that and how you became more successful to where you are today.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. It all started, I would tell people, I think it was 1998, Bash at the Beach. I've always been a wrestling fan. It's literally been that thing that, like, I just remember watching wrestling. And it was kind of like that safe haven for me, especially being a younger kid, transitioned schools a couple times, kind of becoming the target of bullying and stuff. And so wrestling was really that outlet for me, of me being like, hey, I go home, I watch this. I didn't care about nothing else that was happening in the world. Like, things can happen. I didn't even know about it because I'm so glued in. But I will tell you what really changed it for me was 1998 Bash at the Beach. It was Eddie Guerrero versus Chavo Guerrero, and they loser had to cut their hair match. And just the amount of gravitation that Eddie could command, and not necessarily being the biggest physically in the ring or in the locker room or for that particular company, but in general, being larger than life personality wise and being able to command his presence. And I think, honestly, that's what kind of helped craft me to today is really taking that and saying, how can you take yourself to that next level? So 1998 was that mindset. I went from being oh, I like this is what I watch, to, okay, I want to try to figure out how the heck can I do this? What do I have to do to freaking do this? So I was young at that time. But it wasn't until about 2000. I've always had that mindset. But 2011, when I graduated high school, I told my parents, I said, hey, I want to go at this thing. I want to, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. I had some friends and some family that was down in Florida. They said, okay, here's the deal. Well, we got a place down in Florida. We got some family down there. They said a WWE guy's down there. If you want to go down there, you can stay with your cousin, but you got to promise to get some type of higher education degree when you come back. And honestly, bro, that was the easiest trade of my life. I was like, all right, cool. I was planning on getting some type of degree anyway. Like, I know it probably wasn't going to work out, as a full-time, definite lucrative gig. So yeah, I was going to try to get, some type of degree. And then fast forward 2011, I went down to Florida. I was down there with the Wild Simone Pro Wrestling Training Center, down there with the tutelage of Alpha and Sika and so many, others, even greats that were just swinging in. And literally the rest was history from there. You're talking about a year plus of just busting your ass and going and grueling and grinding this thing out. And I think right now it definitely paid off. I would go through everything all over again. The knowledge and the learning trees that you're able to sit under, and knowledge that's able to be instilled unto you, I wouldn't have it any other way. So now, being on the other side of things, being able to pass down some of that knowledge that I've learned and gained, even on top of that, and I'll give that to the next generation. I think that's the whole thing about the wrestling business, really, is just passing it forward. So from 1998 to 2011, the mindset was locked to do this thing. 2011, I finally pulled the trigger, and that was the first time I stepped into a wrestling ring just as a student. Year plus later, then we're jumping on the roads and we're getting after it.
Wow, that's an incredible journey, man. Especially you to pluck out, and maybe it was coincidence, maybe it's just kismet because we've got a history, but you picking a WCW match that kind of stuck in your mind is awesome. And that pay-per-view, I don't know where you're really going to go with that. There's quite a few interesting pieces of information about Bash of the Beach 98, certain matches and whatnot, but never would have picked the Eddie and Chavo match. But that's fascinating that you took that as a young pro wrestling fan, and to see where it all went. Like I said, I only knew you as, we got Ron. He comes in, Ronell. He's one of the hosts on Chair Shot. He comes in. I hadn't really known you yet before then, and then we started working together and just became great on screen, and it's just wild, man, to see the transformation through all these years, and to see where you're at now is pretty damn impressive. So It's just great that you're able to really live your dream. Like you're living your dream, like as we speak. Like it's incredible, man. So let's go back a little bit to the wrestling fandom. What is your first memory? Do you have a first memory of wrestling, or is it Bash of the Beach 98? Like, is there something else that you remember being like, wow, wrestling, and like that clicked? Do you remember any other memories like that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and I don't know if this is more being, on the biasness of it, but I mean, everyone talks about the notorious Hell in a Cell, Taker versus Mankind.
Yeah.
For us that really know, I mean, that happened right down here at the what was formerly known as the Civic Arena, that was right across the street from now the PPG Paints Arena. But that's Pittsburgh Gold. That's what it's all about. And then, even when you go a little bit further, to that extent, I think, everything that really stuck out for me, and it was crazy that when I even was watching Undertaker and Mick Foley really break that match down, they said, if you look at it physicality wise, they're like, that wasn't like match of the night, but it created moments. And when people think of that Hell in a Cell, when they think about Hell in a Cell overall, what's the first thing they mention? Mankind and Undertaker. And so, I think now thinking about it, it's kind of like a come to Jesus moment with me, to where it's really, to that extent of like, the fans might not be able to remember every single move, but can you give them a moment? And I think that's always been my thing. How can I give them a moment? I can do 450s and Canadians and top rope con healers all I want, but are they going to be like, oh man, that was a good match? And then now they're on to the next one. If one more person does one more thing, either better than you, or they do one more than you. So that was like the big thing for me of like, how can I attach myself to the crowd and give them moment after moment after moment? And the more you seek to really have those moments, my whole thing is like, I know as a fan what attracted me. So now being on the other side of things, how can I now be that same outlet to someone? I think even going back to the Eddie Guerrero Chavo match, it wasn't the key highlight match. It wasn't the main event of Bash at the Beach. But for me, it gave me something. It gave me a moment that I was able to remember. So now I always, when I go into a match, where I have a mindset before I go into a match, how can I give them an Eddie Guerrero-esque moment in the best Rev Ron Hunt way that I could possibly do it? And then it really kind of just grows from there, Juice.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and I couldn't have put it any better. As a wrestler, I'm sure the great matches are great, but it's the moments and the memories that stick with people. And I've told people, I have a friend who actually was at King of the Ring 98, and he was 5 or 6, so he really doesn't. He remembers being there, but he, didn't really know the levity of it, and he has since not really been involved with watching wrestling. And I tell him all the time, I go, do you realize that you were at an event where the most played moment in the history of WWE happened where you were? Like they show that clip thousands of times, and it's arguably one of the most important moments to ever happen in the business. And my friend just happened to be there. So the memories they are what lasts longer than any match, no matter how great a match it is. Sometimes a memory in a match that is only a minute or two can really take hold of the fans. So couldn't have said it any better. And it's really interesting, too, how you mentioned that happened in June 98, and Bash at the Beach was, July 98. Yep. So 98 was pretty, that was when the business was on fire. So it's pretty damn cool. Let's get into, so we got into your wrestling side of things, where, you've been a wrestler now for quite some time. Let's dive a little bit more into Chairshot. When did you first become aware of Chairshot Reality, the TV, the online debate, pardon the interruption, around the horn-esque wrestling show that Justin LaBar, Josh Eisenberg, Brian Ghoulish, myself, you, plenty of other, Katie Arquette, got to be a part of. When did you really first hear of it, just being a show at all?
That is actually a crazy thing. I think this might go back to 2014 or so. When I was initially looking to go to IWC, that was like shortly after I was coming back to Pittsburgh full time, and I was looking at what company I was going to make my home company, and then I was put into contact with LaBar, And kind of we went from there. And I was still in college then. And, he was like, oh, we were kind of filling each other out. And he was asking what my major was. And my major was in media communications. I was doing radio, was doing a little bit of TV here and there. And I think that's when he naturally introduced the show to me. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll swing down. And then, kind of swinging down. I think then we were shooting in the, was a lot of people that followed along, you would know the changes of settings, but like that old library setting where, the security guard had to let you in. You had to walk through the freaking library and go to the old back corner. Then we would film back there. So that was the mid connection, was actually meeting LeBar. We were actually talking wrestling business.
Wow.
And then from wrestling business, it kind of side and side between media and wrestling and combining both fields. And then he gave me an opportunity, and that opportunity kind of ran with it. That you jumped on board, and then it was really kind of just growing from there, man. So big shout out to LeBar for giving me that opportunity.
Oh yeah, we just had Justin LeBar and Josh Eisenberg on the Royal Rumble prediction show, which was always a fun time. Did you happen to be on air for some of the Squirrel Hill Sports Bar episodes?
Oh yeah.
Because I vaguely remember. I think that might have been the first time I did it. You might not even. The reason I might have been able to do it, you might not have actually been able to go.
So and I think if that was one of the ones, unless we did it back to back, because I do remember the one. It was around Cinco de Mayo because I came with a sombrero on, and I think one of the other ones, it just so happened the Penguins were playing that same night, and let's just say. We all had to crash for a little bit at the bar.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Were you at that? Because I remember every time that they scored a goal, they had this dumpster drink. They were just mixing a bunch of stuff together and giving the whole bar a free shot every time the Penguins scored a goal. And that was the only time I never wanted them to score any more past 3. But yeah. Actually, I have a video of some fans showing up, and the one guy was like, "Oh, we want you to chop me," because he's like, "Yeah, we're wrestlers and this and that," and he's talking all this hype. And I said, "Well, where do you guys wrestle at?" He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we don't really have a ring. We wrestle in my mom's basement." And I said, "What the heck?"
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I said, "Oh, you want a chop? All right, yeah, we'll give you a chop." I gotta send that video to you, but
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, if that was the case, we might have ran the Squirrel Hill Sports Bar a couple of times. That might have been when the school wasn't in season.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't recall the Penguin game one or for being there. I definitely think
consider yourself blessed on that one.
Absolutely. Well, it's not that we didn't have ones at Point Park that didn't go awry afterwards, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. So you got into Chair Shot, and that was all great. We will tie a little bit back into Chair Shot as we move along here. Let's see what else. Okay, so you're a wrestler. You got media communications. You've been on Chair Shot. You're active in the ring. You're doing this. You're doing that. Man, you are the jack of all trades, though. You were, I know, a paramedic, an extra, if you will, on Monday Night Raw. I'm sure you've gotten some other gigs like that. How do those type of things factor in? I mean, I know you're a wrestler. I guess you could. Some people would call it enhancement talent. That's if you're working in a match. How do you get the call to say, "Hey, you look like a paramedic"?
You know what? You look like you can carry a medical bag. Right. Honestly, I would tell you the crazy thing about it, and I die on this hill 50 million times over. It really doesn't matter how successful you are. If you can't come into a presence with a positive attitude, I don't care if you think you're God's greatest gift to earth. I don't care if you feel like you're not where you need to be right now and you keep making mistakes. The whole thing is what you can control is your attitude, your temperament, your positivity, and the energy that you bring around when people are around you. And I've been very fortunate, I think, just considering all the different blessings that I've had, of always keeping a sense of humility, because just as long as it took to get there, or what people believe is as quick as it took to get there, is as quick as you can lose everything. So I often say the same hands that you smack, the same hands that you smack down on your way up are the same behinds you're going to have to kiss on your way back down. And, that's been the whole mindset with me. So really where it happened at, I had a couple opportunities, I want to say dating back to believe it or not, as early as 2014, 2015, when it initially happened. And what really happened there was, I had to plug my stuff into the system, was able to get some connections. And believe it or not, that was when Triple H and Stephanie had the authority. And I was doing security when he was doing a few with Roman Reigns. That was my very first gig, the televised gig. There was a couple others that canceled right before that. But that was the very first one that we were able to run a full segment on. And then, then we had some things. If you go back to the OG Goldberg Dolph Ziggler feud, I was one of the security guys when it came. So if you go back to that whole thing with that one, then fast forward a couple others. But really, what it comes down to, that latest one with. So yeah, but really where it really starts at is really just coming with that positive attitude. So fast forward, I didn't really touch anything WWE for about a good 5 years or so, because I was with ROH then. So really it was just getting my feet back to, being wet, at least, getting on the radar again, especially right after that. And one of my guys that reached out to me, Alpha Jr., he said, "Hey, Oos, I got he said, I'm gonna have you reach out to a guy that does the WWE stuff for appearances and stuff." He was like, "Listen," and what really happened was, a portion of his career, I kind of went over the limits to get him back in business with RWA. So that was almost in his way of favor. Coming back to me was like, "Hey, I never forget what you did for me when I was down and out." He was like, "I know you're fresh off the contract. You're looking for some things, looking to get back in the light. So reach out to this guy. Tell him I referred you. He should be able to get back to you." And legit, I did exactly that. The guy got back to me with some dates literally in less than 2 hours. And that was on a Monday Night Raw evening. And the guy got back to me and locked some stuff in. And then fast forward a month or so later, that's when I had, my booking obligation. But I try to tell people, it doesn't matter if you're on the indies. It doesn't matter if you're on TV. Do what you have to do to treat people right, and not because you're looking for something out of it, but because you're a good, genuine person. And, I'm always one of those type of people that believe, good things happen to good people. But it's just about you giving your heart to others and, not expecting something in advance, just doing it because you're a good person. And, I think that's where it really came back to.
Wow, man, that's pretty profound. I try to live that same type of way where, I kind of take that with this podcast. I just want to do it because I want to do it for the fun of it. And I just want to, reach out to wrestlers, wrestling fans, analysts, anybody that's had any, interaction with wrestling in their lives. That's what this show's for. It's not for any specific type of person outside of the wrestling realm. It's just anybody that's had any wrestling at all in their lives. So it's pretty cool, man. A couple more things. Tell me a little bit about your work with Shane Taylor Productions and Ring of Honor and just that whole deal. I mean, you've been in and out of certain promotions, but you seem to be with Shane Taylor's pretty steadily these days overall as one of those guys. So let's hear about how you got involved with him and Ring of Honor and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of those things that during the, kind of actually during my trial times, I was able to, get on their radar with Ring of Honor for about a good 3 times. Had a couple times I had to go down to like the Baltimore or Philadelphia area when they were in their old location. And, it was just one of those things that being able to connect with him, Prince Nana, Caprice Coleman, those are pretty much the top 3 people that really had my interest in mind and was able to kind of just open up themselves to me. And it was one of those things to where, Shane and I met, I want to say back in, it's been about a good 6 years or so. And I think I was down there, just busting my hump, doing what I got to do, trying to film some stuff on the side. And he saw the hustle that was inside of me. And, it was one of those things to where he felt like he could get, Shane felt like he could get a better shake out of things. He seen that I had the gift of gab, and, we realized, hey, we can do something really, really special here. And then, it was really just getting with him and putting some things on the drawing board, filming some prototype interviews, really getting some stuff out there. And what a lot of people don't understand, sometimes people always come to us and say something like just legit and authentic feels right about you guys. A lot of people don't understand, like, Shane Taylor Promotions is a real LLC. Like, all the checks go to STP LLC. I'm literally the chief of operations and executive vice president of Shane Taylor Promotions. So even though I might not be on TV every single week, every single thing comes across my desk, from travel plans to booking and everything toward that extent. And then, really what you're seeing is that brotherhood and that bond that comes through us. And then now you're able to see that to a certain extent on television. So clearly with my guy, Shane Taylor, with my man, O'Shea Edwards, Moses Khan that's doing his thing currently, still Ring of Honor World 6-man television champion. It all trickled from just having that brotherhood and that common consensus of, we know what we have, we know what we can bring to the table. It's about showing our own worth and proving ourselves so we can show the world what we knew from day one. And that's been the whole overall thing, man, is really just having some say, a little bit more say so on the product that we bring to the table, and then being able to back up those words when it's all said and done. And I've been very fortunate to be with STP literally since day one. If you take Shane out of it, because clearly it's Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor is there. I was the very first person that was connected. So STP started with just Shane and I. And then I believe we picked up Con and Moses after. We picked them up at the same time. That was after they signed under the new development deal with Ring of Honor when they moved to Baltimore. And then shortly after that, we picked up O'Shea Edwards. And it's been climbing. Then after that, we picked up Lee Moriarty. And that's a cool thing by itself. That's another Pittsburgh guy. And he's grassroots right from the same exact training facility that I'm one of the assistant coaches at. So it's all a full circle moment, Juice, man. But it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, man. Shane Taylor Promotions. That's such a cool thing. I just love the acronym of STP. I don't know. It works with a lot of different entities out there. And hey, you want to talk full circle? Shane Taylor, also former RWA World Champion. It was kismet. It was meant to be.
Yep. Everything is so weird when you really think about it. And I think that's the whole beauty in the art of pro wrestling as a whole. Somehow, if you really think about it, a lot of things come back full circle and create a beautiful moment, whether that's intentional or rather that is, it just naturally happens through fate and how the wrestling world is. But, when you are able to connect those pieces, and like I said, Juice, like those are the memories that you really think about, you being able to recollect that back and be like, oh, man, that's such a cool connection. Or seeing how different things are able to connect. Sometimes you might not see it until years later, but when you're able to piece it together, I still tell people there is nothing more beautiful than the art of professional wrestling. It's the most violent, it's the most intense, it's the most physically involving, but yet at the same time, there is still a beautiful theatrical art to it. There's a combination of the highest of athleticism all the way down to the best of theatrics, all combined in one with a lot of cojones to be able to do this consistently and at a beautiful level that you're able to do it at, man. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I wouldn't want to be in the NFL. I wouldn't want to be in the MLB, the NHL. Respect to all of our professional athletes that way, but the pro wrestling realm, a lot of people don't understand. The world pretty much runs on pro wrestling. The way that Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor talk is because they are fans of professional wrestling. They'll watch guys like a Ric Flair, like a Slick. Every time that an NFL team wins the Super Bowl, they're not really concerned about the Super Bowl. They're concerned about hoisting up that WWE title. The world runs on pro wrestling, whether people believe it or not. Sports as a whole runs on pro wrestling. And so it's just so cool to be a little cog that's in the wheel of the whole overall art of it.
Yeah, man, you said it perfectly. It really does. It transcends just, marks like me and wrestlers like you and just, people in general, like in wrestling. Like it's so much more than that. And it's great to hear, from a wrestler who's, you've done gigs everywhere and you could say like, hey, these memories last and are for the fans at any promotion at any time. Like it's worth doing, and like you said earlier, it's worth it for the moment because it's for them, not necessarily for you, and that's what you're doing. You're putting on a show for the fans. So that's amazing, man. One last little thing here. Tell me a little bit about your work with the Pittsburgh Food Bank. I know that you've been working with them a little bit. I mean, again, you're a jack of all trades. It's unbelievable.
Man, listen, let me tell you about that. You want to talk about another full circle moment? That all happened because of Chair Shot Reality, believe it or not. That all happened because of Chair Shot Reality. So I would tell you what happened. It was right after I left out of news. So for those who don't know, yes, I'm a former news reporter. That was the full-time gig. And it was right at the end of my contract, and I was in Dayton, Ohio, my last contract. So the first time really living out of state, dealing with a lot of the craziness that was happening there, was kind of feeling a little homesick. And the main thing that I remember, I reached out to Brian Gulish. You go back to him, one of the OGs with Chair Shot Reality. Started with him, LeBar. Him, LeBar, and Josh Eisenberg. And I remember I contacted him because I remember he switched roles. He was at the American Cancer at that time, but then he was at the food bank. And I said, "Hey, Brian, do you still work in marketing and communications at the food bank?" He's like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I said, "I'm looking to leave out of television media as a whole, kind of switch it up, go more within like the marketing communication aspect. And then I need a little bit more of flexibility with my schedule because wrestling was picking up too. So I knew that was just going to be a set time, no overtime. I'm in and out, if I got to work remote." And he said, "Listen, he was like, listen, we might be able to do something." He's like, "Hang on, we're actually about to create a position." But he was like, "Definitely put your resume in and send me your resume in advance, and we'll kind of go from there." And I think it was just him being able to know me from a personal standpoint of things for Chair Shot Reality and feeling confident enough to vouch for me to feel like the position was right for me. And then kind of mix it in just in general, my background. But I still say that connection happened literally because of Chair Shot Reality. I don't think I would have been able to be put in a better position if it wasn't for CSR. And I've been at the food bank, I want to say about a little bit over 2 years now, going on 2.5 years, and absolutely love every minute of it, man. You're talking about making a positive change, getting food on the table for people, being an outlet for them to know how to get to certain resources. And when you're in a field to give back and to help people, that in the end, that makes you feel good overall, man. So each and every day, man, I feel good just to be able to help the community out.
Wow. Yeah, that's not only do you do everything, but you do it for longer than a cup of coffee. Like you've got stints doing all these things. I forgot all about your gigs as a news anchor. I mean, God, you were on these shows in Ohio, TV, you were reporting about certain events and just, man, you do not stop. I mean, as we're talking and I can hear the turn signals, I can hear the seat belts. You're just always on the go, brother. Unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Bro, it's the tequila. I was about to say it's the tequila. It's not a tequila now. I was about to say I was thinking about those cucumber. I was about to say it's the coffee and the cucumber jalapeno margaritas from Las Vegas down there at Market Square.
That's right, and that's what we're about to dive into. So before we close this whole thing out, we're gonna do a rapid fire to close it all out. But right before that, I'm gonna bring up some stuff, and I want to hear your first response. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk Las Vegas. We don't have to get into too much detail. This is a family program, but Las Vegas, about the time where you didn't make it to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, as soon as you said Las Vegas, I said bathroom incident. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, well, that's fine. And you can leave it at that, and I will only leave it and add. We will tell the listeners that it's not like bad, but let's just say we kept going. We're all hyping each other up. I think we were wrapping up a season. Might have been one of the big season finales. And and these cucumber jalapeno. If you guys are ever in the Pittsburgh area or from the Pittsburgh area, go visit Las Vegas and Market Square. They have a cucumber jalapeno margarita. And after all of these years, I have never tasted a better one than Las Vegas. And I swear by that. I've never tasted a better cucumber jalapeno margarita. Yeah, man, those were addicting. And I mean, Las Vegas was always a hit with us. So, all right, now I'm going to bring up another little interesting nugget. Do you remember whenever we would have some downtime before shows at the new studio, the one on with the glass, what's it called? The glass windows, like the huge glass, big panes of glass. But we would go into the separate studio and do rap some bars and come up with some beats.
In the radio
area. Yeah. Oh man.
And LeBar would walk, bro. If we had a camera, LeBar would be like, LeBar would walk in like, "Hey, like, you guys see Juice? You guys see this?" And we're just flowing. And I remember one time he just walked in and was like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "Listen, man, wait, just give us a second, man. We got some good stuff happening here."
Exactly. We're cooking. What do you want from us? Come on.
Yeah, we're cooking, switching camera angles and stuff.
All right. So the last one I'm going to ask you about this is a great story, and I don't know how much more detail you can even recall, but do you remember us? I don't did it was it I don't know if we got kicked out of, but when we were at NOLA and you're very good at magic. You pulled foam balls out of your mouth. You've pulled pens out of your mouth. You produce random things from any crevice of your body. You're a magician's magician, and you're a wrestler. So like all the tricks are endless. Do you recall? It might have been NOLA where we were all out drinking or whatever, having a good time, and you decided to go to a table where there was a bachelorette party to do a magic trick.
God.
And they're like, "Look, we got to get you out. You can't stay."
Bro, I did not even remember that until you legit just mentioned it.
And here's the thing, I'm sure myself and Labar, whoever was with it, I can't recall. It was probably 7, 8, 9 years ago. So luckily the statute of limitations is well beyond us. But I remember us being like, "Hey, magic, let's see what you got."
Like, listen, dog, you guys definitely hyped that up. You guys, because I was like, "Oh no, we'll be good." And I looked for a second. I thought about it. And I was like, you guys said, "Come on, man, just go over there. They'll love it, man. You're great. You're a people person." Well, I go over there and the guy's like, "Hey, yeah, you can't be doing magic at the." I'm like, "Man, they're about to love this." I'm like, they didn't have an issue with it. They're all drunk, like, "Yeah, come on."
Yeah, they were having a great time. Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
"Man, I could have got you guys more business. I wasn't even asking you guys to pay me."
So that was a great memory, man. So many great memories throughout the years with Chairshot, and what a great show that was. But man, what a great talk this has been. We're gonna get to the rapid fire here in just a second, but I do just want to mention, like, this is so great. I'm so happy that we got to connect again after so long. I was thrilled to be at anytime I get to see you wrestle, it's just a unique perspective for me because I know you. Yep. I know how much you love wrestling. I remember you taking a belt shot from some kid at the hotel adjacent to PPG Paints. You remember that before Raw?
Listen, the funny thing is, I just ran into that kid. That kid was at the show too.
Whoa, that's crazy.
We were just talking about, actually, his dad is one of the production people for the production company that does the film for RWA. And I saw him, and I legit, because he actually brought something, and I'm just in the heat of the moment. I'm going. I feel bad I wasn't able to use it, but he brought something, and I was like, "Listen," I was like, "I still owe you an actual match," because I remember I think it took a belt shot, then he put me in a crossface.
So that exactly happened.
Yeah, so I'm like, "Listen, I still owe you a match, so I at least got to wrestle for probably about another good 14 years, bare minimum." And I'm like, "Damn, I gotta hold my promise. At least if I retire, I gotta do a pro wrestling retire and then come back a few years after that." But yeah, he was that kid was at the show.
That's crazy, man. What
he was actually standing on the staircase. He was actually standing on the staircase where that back door is, right before I climbed up that metal metal staircase.
Whoa, that's wild. That's incredible. I had no idea whenever I was going to bring. Oh, well, first of all, I didn't even realize I was going to bring that up. I didn't have that in my notes, but it kind of my memory got jogged with all of that. So. But yeah, man, it's just great the perspective of knowing you, seeing you wrestle, and just like realizing how bad you want it, and this is your dream, and just knowing you as a person and as a friend. It's nice to like see you get those moments, get the reactions from the crowd and like from other people, because like I'm out there, you got some, you got family out there too, and like we're all gonna be supportive and whatnot, but to hear it from just other people, just straight up strangers, fans, just in general, it's got to be a thrill for you. And it's a thrill for me seeing the reactions from them, knowing that you've totally earned it. So it's a great thing to see, man. Yeah, absolutely. So before we close this thing down, let's do one of my favorite things to do with a new guest, whether I interview them or we do a prediction show, whatever it is. The first time I get the person on the show, I love to do this rapid fire just wrestling related questions and such. But first, I want to ask another separate question, kind of rapid fire. What is your favorite juice box to drink if you had one?
Mott's apple juice in particular with the Arthur on it.
Oh, Mott's apple juice with Arthur on the can or the whatever the box. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Something about that little critter makes that juice exquisite.
That's an interesting call. I mean, we've had plenty of different answers with the juice, so that's great. Let's get into the wrestling part of this. Rapid fire. Just give me your first response as soon as you think of it. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Hogan or Flair?
Flair. Woo!
Favorite era of The Undertaker?
Ooh. Oh man, that is a rough one. I mean, everyone loves the dead man, but I feel like badass motorcycle taker gotta take it, man.
Okay. Would you be interested in Rock Cena 3?
Not right now.
Okay. But maybe you're open to it, but okay.
Fun fact, and that's a fun fact. I actually pulled something from them for this last street fight match from Rock Cena 1 and 2. Yeah, so I love them. I love them.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you just don't want to see it right now.
Yeah, not right now. I got my mindset set on Rock doing some other things.
That's right. You talking Oos earlier? Well, that's exactly where he needs to be. All right. Do you prefer for watching a wrestling pay-per-view Saturday or Sunday night?
Sunday.
Sunday night pay-per-views. You prefer that?
I'm a Sunday night. Listen, Juice, I'm that OG. Like, my thing is, we should probably only have maybe like 5 to 6 overall, including our big ones. I miss the OG. We had our Raw, we had our SmackDown, we had our Saturday Velocity. And then you had your big. Remember, they were building vignettes for weeks on end, and then you had your No Way Out, your Armageddon. We don't have those no more. I feel like Sunday was that pay-per-view time, but then also from a business aspect of things as well. Sometimes if a fan chooses, do I stay home and I watch this, or do I go to an indie show? It makes it hard on the indies sometimes because we mainly run on Saturdays.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's a little bit by, but I still say it was just something about having that Sunday feel. And if the week actually went well, you pretty much had wrestling on all week. So if we kept it on Sunday, we would really say we have wrestling on every single day of the week, pretty much.
Yeah, you make a good point there. I just Sunday, has been the tradition, and I loved it. But Saturday is just you're free for the night, and you don't have to worry about, for most people at least, don't have to work on Sunday, so it's a nice relaxation to have. But
I used to love waking up in school with a detention slipped under my arm because I fell asleep in class because I was trying to stay up for the pay-per-view.
That's dedication, brother. This is the right business for you. Let me tell you what.
This is the right business for me.
All right. Favorite WrestleMania?
Woo! WrestleMania 21 goes to Hollywood.
Hell yeah. That's the one that got me back into wrestling, so that's a good choice.
For real?
Yeah, I was out from 01 to 05 because WCW closed, and WrestleMania 20. Well, No Way Out 05 got me interested. Was that
the barbed wire steel cage match we had in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I did.
JBL
in Big Show. I didn't go, but I heard that the match was happening, and I was like, oh, like wrestling, like Pittsburgh. Oh, this is like what? I just got all thrown back into it, and we bought WrestleMania 21, and it never ended. It's 18 years later, and we're still here. 19 years later, as we are in 2024. So.
As soon as you told me, I remember that one very fondly. Actually, I was calling I used to call the whatever the heck they were called then. I don't even remember what the arena was called then. But I used to call the ticket line every time just to hear them be like, WWE is returning to Pittsburgh. Da, 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 da. And then I'm thinking, there's no way you're about to have all of these stars 15 minutes away from my house. So it was one of the things I'm like, I can't believe they're right around the corner. And I was also ticked at the same time, like, I can't believe I'm not going. But I did watch it. I did watch the pay-per-view from home.
Wow, that's incredible, man. All right, let's keep going. HBK versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 or 26?
Woo! 25.
I agree. Favorite face of Foley?
Mr. Socko.
Mr. Socko.
Mankind, baby.
Mankind. Okay, well, see, and you saying Mr. Socko, to me, you like Mankind kind of after the fact, whenever he did get thrown through the Hell in a Cell, not necessarily Mankind like 96 feuding with Shawn.
I would say more of when we had like that Rock and Sock connection.
Yeah.
For a bit that was running. That was more along. I think like right in that perfect era part of it right there. I think you saw like a lot of personality and creativity that came out of him, that you realize, all right, this guy just isn't a guy that's going to throw his body on the line, but he can actually give you some good moments on the mic as well.
That's right. Favorite match of the first 9 WrestleManias, but you cannot choose a Hogan match. And I only say that because he was in main events of all of them, so you got to pick something else.
Woo! Of the first 9.
Yeah.
I would say, can I pick a Flair one?
Yeah. Mania 8 was Flair and Savage.
Mania 8. Was that Flair and Savage? That's gonna be my go-to.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if that was if that was right after or right before the first
it was.
But it would definitely say that Flair and Savage.
Yeah, and it should have been Flair Hogan, but they didn't do it. So there you go.
Yep.
All right, 3 more. Favorite tag team of all time?
Of all time. The Wild Samoans.
Good choice. Bret or Shawn?
Shawn.
That's pretty quick. I like that.
I know. Listen, that was a go-to of mine.
All right, and then this is a softball, but I mean, I ask everybody, so you tell me before you shut your door. What's your favorite wrestling podcast?
My favorite wrestling podcast is the Juice Box, even though he says it's not really a wrestling podcast, but it is now.
It is a wrestling podcast. It's for wrestling fans, by the fans,
there we go.
For the fans. Wow, man, Rev, Ron, Ronell, the Rev. You have so many names, so many titles, so many jobs, but I am just proud to call you friend, co-worker, co-host of Chair Shot. Happy to know you. Happy that we even got to meet at all. Again, I had no idea of you being on Chair Shot until, Ronell's working this one. Who? What?
You're like, who? What?
I don't know that. Who's this guy? And then, we worked together and it was great. And then, like I said, the RWA connection just blew my mind. So I could not be more thrilled to have you here in the Juice Box today to kind of go over your history as a fan, history in the business as a wrestler, and just everything else that you're doing, man. It's just really cool to see, and it's awesome as a friend to see you grow and just do all these things. Like, you're living plenty of dreams. A lot of people would love to do one of the things you're doing, and you're doing a ton of them. So just props to you, brother, and I can't wait to see what you've got going for your future. I know we've got the February 17th RWA will be taking place at West Newton Gymnasium, the Fury 2024 show featuring Rev, Ron Hunt, of course, and a special appearance in wrestling in a tag match with John McChesney, the one and only innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. So
that's going to be bananas, man. I'm
one hell of a show to be to.
I'm not even going to come to the show to work, man. I'm just going to come to the show for them. I'm like, I get paid to be here too. Cool.
Yeah, you'll be peering through the curtain to see Tommy Dreamer. I know.
Yeah, I'll find my seat through the curtain.
That's right. So that'll be coming up in a couple of days as this will be released during that week. But yeah, man, before we head out, just drop some of your socials, promote whatever you got to promote. I know you got RWA. We're talking to the RWA World Champion, so I'll let you have the floor before I sign off. So let's hear what you got, Rev.
Absolutely. Definitely appreciate your time, man. And it's truly an honor to definitely catch up and do the show. Big shout out if you guys ever want anything, all of the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Just type in @the Rev Ron Hunt. It'll be able to pop up there. If you're looking for any t-shirt designs, whether that's at a show
or some quick exclusive drops right before they hit the live tables at the shows, you can go right to the Pro Wrestling Tees. Just type in the Rev Ron Hunt. You'll find all your stuff there, including the most recent I'm Your Reverend shirt. That's giving some respect to the late, great Eddie Guerrero. But other than that, man, it's been a big pleasure, man. Definitely appreciate it. And we got to meet up for some cucumber jalapeno margaritas in the near future.
I'm 1,000% in, man. Maybe not the day or two after you've just put your body through a war, because I don't want to have blood all over the floor as I'm trying to get my margarita and slip on it. So we'll do it on an off week. But for you, I don't know how many off weeks you have, considering you're all over the damn place. But you're killing it, man. I'm so happy you got to hop in the juice box today. Another edition of the Sip series is in the books, and I'm thrilled to have you on the show and as a friend. So, Rev, it's been great. I hope you all have enjoyed this show. The Rev Ron Hunt, RWA World Champion, independent pro wrestler. He does it all, and he's in the juice box with me for the Sip series. He's Ron Hunt. I am Juice Springsteen, and I'll see you guys later with another episode of The Juice Box. That was The Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to The Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.